Hello, folks. Welcome back to Cognitive Awareness with a Touch of God podcast. Today's episode 18, and the topic's going to be knowledge versus wisdom. There's an age-old saying, knowledge is power. But you got to ask yourself, is it really? Well, we're going to take a look at it. So knowledge is something you gain by using our senses. We do it through reading. We get to read to remember things. We hear stuff. We listen to remember. By seeing something happen, watching or observing to kind of learn how to replicate something, by touching, and we learn through experience. So what do we do with that knowledge after we have it? Well, some people use it for their job. They go to school to learn a trade. Some people use it to teach. After learning something, they have to present it to others. Some people use it to keep their job. The knowledge they have is something they don't want to share because they might not be better at what they do if someone else knows what they know. That's also been called job security. Some people write books and maybe sell them, putting their knowledge into text. Some people help others by using their knowledge to help them survive, teaching people how to grow food or build things or how to hunt. As you can see, there's many uses for knowledge. So what makes knowledge not power? You could look at it in two ways. First, do we need knowledge? Is knowledge something we must have to live life in a happy and healthy way? Do we need power? Is power something we need at all? Or is it purely for our ego? Let's take a deeper look at knowledge. If you don't do anything with your knowledge and just kind of keep it for yourself, that's removing the purpose of knowledge. In order for knowledge to actually mean something, it has to be shared. And once it's shared, it then becomes wisdom. But it must be shared with the right intention to become wisdom. If you take something you know and give someone only part of it, that's pretty much a weak intention. Think of it this way. Charlie is teaching his son how to fish. He shows him how to add the hook to the line and to tie it on. He shows him how to add the worm to the hook, how to attach it completely so the worm doesn't just flop right off. He shows his son how to cast the line out, but he doesn't show him how to reel it in, or how to know if the fish is nibbling versus a fish biting, or what to do with the fish after it's hooked. Charlie needs to complete the process with his son so that Charlie's knowledge can become wisdom. Charlie's intention was in the right place, but he just didn't complete the sharing of all his knowledge regarding fishing. Here's another example. Susan works for a cleaning company dealing with toxic fluid cleanup. She has a new worker that's going to do the same job that she does, but Susan didn't want anyone else doing what she does. Susan explains to her new coworker what a spill is. She explains what the cleanup process is. She even shows her coworker where the equipment is found and where the eye wash stations are and how to use them. But when Susan and her coworker go to actually do a cleanup, she never shows her coworker any of the details of cleaning up. Susan doesn't let her coworker learn by doing anything, which could leave her coworker potentially out of a job, especially if over a period of time her coworker is put onto a job by herself and she doesn't know how to actually do the work. She's only heard of it or seen it, but she hasn't had a chance to do it. So Susan's intention is to keep her own job and not to allow anyone else the knowledge of doing the job correctly. So in essence, the sharing of our knowledge is what brings us to wisdom. Wisdom is created through our gifts to others. Wisdom is experience with knowledge, but shared to any and all people. The tribal ancestors of this country called it storytelling. It was their understanding that storytelling was a critical part of keeping the knowledge and history of the tribes. Today we kind of call it teaching. In this case, I call it a podcast. So is knowledge power, or is it a stepping stone to the power of giving? When we were young and learning things through life, whether we were in our childhood, our teens, 20s, or whenever, we saw certain people in our lives as having wisdom. We also saw it mostly from our elders, not necessarily our peers, the people that were our same age. Because we've only gone through so much, and we believe if somebody is our age, they couldn't have gone through more than us to be able to have wisdom. As children, our parents had the wisdom. For a lot of folks, it was the dad. Whenever dad said something, it was usually very deep and very incredible and seen very much as wisdom. As teens, our teachers had the wisdom. In our 20s, it was our grandparents having the wisdom. But wisdom is purely the sharing of what we know, whenever and however it's needed. The fear of losing something prevents us from sharing what we know and from turning it into wisdom. As I mentioned in one of the examples earlier, the woman, Susan, didn't want to share all of her knowledge to her coworker because she feared her coworker would become better at her job than she was. So I ask you, is knowledge truly power? Or is wisdom power? Or for that matter, is power just an illusion? We just simply need to begin the path of giving all that we know so that others can learn. Remember, the tribes and indigenous peoples of the past used to tell stories so that their children would then tell that story to their children, and then they would tell that to their children, and so on. There was no power behind it. It was considered critical to their heritage and their history, but it was never used to prevent anyone from gaining anything. In today's world, in today's society, we do have people that are sharing their knowledge, but is their intention in the right place? Are people sharing knowledge just to make money, or are people sharing knowledge just for the sake of giving? It is a pure gift. What we have in our brains, this knowledge that we have, when we share it, it becomes a gift, and that gift is wisdom. So is there a difference between knowledge and wisdom? Absolutely. One is something you gain, the other is something you give. So folks, thank you very much for listening into this nice short podcast. I appreciate all your time and energies, and I know there's interesting times going on in the world, but I'm here to tell you that there's love, light, and beauty all around us. It's just a matter of us focusing on the right thing. Don't get caught up in the mayhem. Don't allow yourself to walk the path of insanity. Use your knowledge. Seek others' wisdom. Learn and love. Thank you very much. God bless you all, and I'll talk to you on the next podcast.
Thank you again for listening in today, folks. Your time and energy is greatly appreciated. Please feel free to download these episodes, favorite them, share them, and even visit my YouTube channel, Yava-Coco Productions, for all the podcast playlists and for some insanely cool videos of my hiking adventures that I do in Sedona. That all helps me to continue to bring you more exciting podcasts and videos, both for healing, spirituality, as well as just kind of amazing videos of Sedona, Arizona. For those of you wanting to dig in a little deeper, maybe you're struggling with some inner issues, or you're in a recovery path from an addiction, or just looking for inspirational discussions about healing, check out all of my podcasts on your favorite podcast players. Titles like Path to Recovery podcast, Cognitive Awareness with a Touch of God podcast, Bear Clan's Hiking Sedona podcast, and yes, I even have one called Star Wars, The Bear Awakens podcast. We are here to help you, and what we're trying to do is offer you things that can help you for free. Plus, there's entertainment involved with a lot of these anyway. So thank you again, folks. God bless you, and I hope to see you on the rocks. Healing, spirituality, as well as just kind of amazing videos of Sedona, Arizona. For those of you wanting to dig in a little deeper, maybe you're struggling with some inner issues, or you're in a recovery path from an addiction, or just looking for inspirational discussions about healing, check out all of my podcasts on your favorite podcast players. Titles like Path to Recovery podcast, Cognitive Awareness with a Touch of God podcast, Bear Clan's Hiking Sedona podcast, and yes, I even have one called Star Wars, The Bear Awakens podcast. We are here to help you, and what we're trying to do is offer you things that can help you for free. Plus, there's entertainment involved with a lot of these anyway. So thank you again, folks. God bless you, and I hope to see you on the rocks.